I have McKayla Barber with me from Beyond Design. McKayla, can you tell us about yourself and Beyond Design and what you guys do?
Yeah, I'm a design strategist and industrial designer at Beyond Design. We're a strategic product development company up in Ravenswood, and we do a wide range of products, anything from audio equipment to appliances, and we're a full service firm, so everything from research and strategy like I do to industrial design, user experience, and engineering.
Excellent. And regarding the smart home and kind of wellness design, do you have anything to say on that, or some sort of talks on kind of technology and the impact it's going to have on our homes today, or tomorrow, sorry.
Yeah, obviously I think technology is having a huge impact on every aspect of our lives, including our homes. I'm actually giving a talk tomorrow as well on the impact that technology is having on our wellness. And one of the big trends that we've noticed is technology can be a really good thing, but it can also be a little bit dangerous, and we're seeing people reverting from technology a little bit as well, and I think that's a trend we're going to start to see. We saw that at the Housewares show last year with the rise in analog technology and people retreating back to things that are smart but don't feel quite as scary.
Could you give some more examples or elaborate on that?
Sure. So some of the big examples that we've seen, not necessarily product-wise, but just cultural and societal trends, is a big push towards biophilic design, which is the idea of bringing elements in nature back into our homes and our spaces. And I think we're going to see a lot more products and companies catering specifically towards things like that.
And is that going to, and is the premise behind that to improve the wellness of the consumer, or the well-being of the end product user, I guess?
Yeah, I think it's to improve our wellness in a sense of mental and emotional health, and also give us ways to unplug and disconnect from all of the technology that's flying past us at an increasing rate.
Okay. I guess maybe we could take a step back. What does wellness mean, I guess, for society and to different generations of people?
Yeah, so wellness is an increasingly growing trend. We used to look at health as this thing that was primarily physical, and kind of the idea of eating right and exercising, that's all you needed to do to be healthy. But we're seeing a big push towards this idea of holistic health and wellness, and that means looking more from a wide lens at all of the different things that go into being human, and understanding how all of those different things have an impact on our health and wellness. So it's not just physical anymore, that's still a component of it, but it's also our emotional health and our mental health and our spiritual health, and all of those things working together to create the idea of our overall wellness.
I see. And so are these things measurable, or are these kind of, how do you account for wellness per se?
I think that's a tricky question.
Yeah.
I don't think there's necessarily one certain metric to be able to measure, like, you have really good wellness or you have really bad wellness. I think it's a really personal thing and a very individualized thing. And, one person may need to work on one aspect of wellness more than another person. So I don't think there's one right answer necessarily to be able to solve the problem of wellness.
Okay. So what does kind of the holistic health and wellness mean, and how is that different from, say, traditional health and medical kind of topics or practices?
Yeah, so the traditional idea of health was primarily physical, and so looking at things like exercising and eating healthy, but holistic means looking at all of the different aspects of that. So practicing mental health, maybe regularly seeing a therapist, or practicing spiritual health for some people, maybe practicing religious services on a regular basis. So it's not just one way of thinking about health anymore, it's all of these different things and practices that we incorporate into our lives that contribute to our overall wellness.
And how does Beyond Design, work on that balance for people and consumers today?
You mean in the products that we create?
Yes, correct. Sorry.
So we work on a variety of different products and for a variety of different clients. So when our clients come to us with different products that they either have an idea for or they're looking to expand their products, we try and keep in mind some of these trends and things that we're seeing. And so obviously we know that wellness is a big trend that's happening culturally and societally right now. So when we're designing products that we think those different trends could fit into, we obviously make suggestions and try and help our clients see that that's an important part of the design development process.
Absolutely. Can you mention any brands or services that are kind of excelling in this wellness space and providing this wellness balance for consumers today?
One company that I'll talk about in my presentation tomorrow as well, but Casper, I'm sure you've heard of them. They're one of the big companies in the sleep industry right now, and we are learning that sleep is a huge aspect of wellness. It's one of the biggest pillars of wellness, and so they're making a lot of efforts in their products to try and cater towards that new area of wellness that's becoming really important. They released a product pretty recently called the Casper Glow, which are these different like pod lights that help you fall asleep and stay asleep in order to maintain healthy sleeping habits for the overall purpose of better wellness.
And I was at CES in January, and the amount of technology that's being inserted in our sleep products across all of our different household products. How is technology really helping consumers measure, or we talked about not measuring exactly, but how is it helping consumers develop that wellness balance, health balance with their lives?
I think the biggest benefit that technology is having on the wellness industry is that it's making us more aware of the importance of different types of wellness and the different activities that you can do to contribute to your wellness. I think technology is a little bit tricky in that it's not always the healthiest thing for us, but I think using it in a really purposeful and intentional way and using it more informationally to help you understand what types of wellness you need in your life and how to achieve that for yourself is a really good and important thing that technology is helping us with.
Absolutely. Is there situations where there's too much technology that's really kind of negatively impacting our mental well-being, our wellness, and et cetera?
Yeah, I think there's definitely times when technology overdoes it a little bit. I think we've seen that a lot with social media in the past couple years. The purpose, I think, was really good in connecting people and connecting different people, especially on a global scale, but I think sometimes it goes a little bit too far in that it becomes an unhealthy habit. So I think there's a fine line with the relationship between technology and wellness that we just have to walk when we're looking at different products to help the wellness industry.
And that's going to vary based on the individual, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and it varies on the product and the purpose for it as well. So if you're looking at something like sleep, I think that line exists where technology can obviously help you track your sleep habits and understand how to improve them. But we've also seen that people who look at their phones right before they go to bed wake up more times during the night and they don't get as good a night's sleep. So I think there's things like that where you have to walk that fine line between where technology can be really helpful and where technology can start to have a negative impact on your wellness.
Can you say something about, it almost seems like the consciousness of wellness and health has really been elevated recently, and that people are more aware of it. What are your thoughts on that, and kind of what do you observe in the market today?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a growing trend, and I think people are really aware of the benefits of wellness now. I think a lot of it has to do with the millennial and Gen Z generation. I think because millennials and this Gen Z generation, we've grown up with technology and are kind of digital pioneers, we're a lot more aware of some of those concepts that maybe older generations weren't as aware of. So I think in that sense, bringing back technology, it has brought to light the importance of wellness and made people more aware of the importance of it.
What would you say, I guess, the distinction between, say, millennials then and older consumers like baby boomers, for example? I know that just a whole suite of wellness and health monitoring products and services are starting to be marketed towards baby boomers and our aging population. What's the difference between that kind of those two mindsets? Is there one?
Yeah, there definitely is. I think the biggest difference is that baby boomers, as far as health is concerned, they're more worried about extending their life, whereas millennials and younger generations are more concerned with improving their mental health. And so I think that's where the big difference lies, and that's why older generations are more concerned primarily with physical health, whereas younger generations are more concerned with wellness and anything that contributes to your mental health and happiness.
Gotcha. And what about in terms of obviously the physical well-being, maintaining sort of that individuality, or sort of the being able to I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the word here. Basically, continue to live on your own without assistance. Those are types of services I feel like would be very well received among baby boomers who would like to continue living on their own and doing things on their own and maintaining that independence. That's a word.
Yeah.
What kind of wellness, what kind of role does wellness play in that kind of space, or is there one?
Yeah, I think one of the most important parts of wellness is connectedness and feeling connected to the world and the people around you. And I think in a setting where maybe you're in an assisted living home, you're kind of aging into that experience, I think it's important to have people feel connected to what's going on around them. It's very unhealthy for your mental health to feel like you're in a silo and you're all by yourself. So any way that we can help people feel connected to the world and others around them will improve that type of an experience.
So do you think that there's a desire for social connections beyond, or how big of a role does social connections play in that well-being based on generations? Is there a difference? What would you say that is, if there is one?
That's an interesting question. Generationally, I'm not sure. If I had to take a guess, I think obviously just part of being human means that you need to feel connected to other people. Generationally, I would guess that younger generations, although we have social media and lots of ways for connecting with other people, younger generations tend to feel more disconnected than older generations. I think we all have the same sort of desire to feel more connected to people around us, but actually achieving that, I think, may be where the generational difference lies.
Huh. That's very interesting. Our research shows that younger consumers are more likely to agree that they spend too much time on their phones, whereas older consumers are much less likely to agree with that sentiment. So I think you hit the nail on the head right there. It's that younger consumers tend to be more conscious of how much time we're spending in a digital space and how that impacts our sort of mental well-being and our wellness.
Yeah, I think we've become really aware recently of some of the negative impacts that smartphones and social media have had on us. And I think that's why we've seen such a huge rise in all of the new dumb phones that are coming to market, where they're stripping away all of the extras that smartphones have. And we're seeing a huge rise in people purchasing those types of devices and going back towards things that aren't necessarily as smart as have been developed recently.
Is there any sort of products that you're seeing out in the market besides these dumber phones that sort of help people separate or create separate themselves from digital social interactions versus physical, and personal interactions, or services that promote personal interactions over digital.
One thing that I can think of, which I think is a little bit ironic, is smartphones now have a timer on them where you can set it so that once you've been on your phone for a certain amount of time, it basically kicks you off and tells you you need to like go interact with the real world now. You don't need to spend any more time on your phone, which I think is funny that these smart products are now encouraging people not to use them as much. Services that get people back into the physical world, I can't think of. I think we'll start to see more and more of those things. I don't know that we've started to see a ton of products and services yet, but I think it's definitely a trend we're going to continue to see in the future.
From your own personal perspective, how do you practice, wellness and sort of promote your well-being?
Yeah, so thinking about it in a holistic way, there's a couple different activities that I personally do. So like from the physical aspect, I'll go rock climbing, and that's something that I do with my friends. So that's not only giving me the physical health, but it's also bringing in the idea of mental health and emotional health and having friendships with people who do the same sort of thing. And I'll also do yoga a lot, which for me, it's not a religious experience, but it is a spiritual experience in the fact that it's meditation and mindfulness. So kind of fulfilling all of those different areas with just a few simple activities, I think is a really effective way to practice wellness, especially when you don't have a lot of time. Finding things that fulfill some of those different buckets in one activity are really successful and positive.